Ladies and gentlemen, you may not feel it, you may not see it, but I came to remind you God is not silent in your struggle. His fingerprints are all over your process. Heaven hasn't gone quiet, it's just working behind the scenes. Life crushes you and somehow you're still standing. That's not just your willpower, that's divine reinforcement. You're not as strong as you feel. Strength is borrowed. That endurance is heaven sent. You didn't survive by accident, you were carried. Sometimes God's help looks like rejection. You thought you lost an opportunity, but you gained divine redirection. He closed that door to protect you from what you couldn't see. The loss wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Something in you has shifted. You don't chase easy anymore, you chase purpose. You're uncomfortable in mediocrity. That's stirring, that discomfort, it's not frustration, it's divine agitation. God is helping you evolve, not settle. Everything you lose in this season is a setup for something greater. God isn't subtracting, He's refining. You're shedding what you no longer need so you can carry what you've been promised. Don't confuse pruning with punishment. You're being shaped, not rejected. Even when you don't feel God, He's still at work. You've been asking for clarity, and He's been giving you movement. You've been seeking signs. He's been giving you strategy. Your prayers may not shake the room, but they're moving mountains in silence. Relationships change. People walk away. But if your peace stayed when they left, that's God. Peace that doesn't make sense is proof of divine presence. God will subtract who you don't need to surround you with who He sent. Random messages, a song, a sermon, a stranger's words. It's not coincidence, it's confirmation. God speaks in repetition. When He wants your attention, He'll echo His help in whispers, nudges, and moments too divine to ignore. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's collapsing around you. The walls of your emotions start to close in. Your faith is stretched. Your hope is fraying. You've cried all you can cry, prayed all you can pray, and still nothing seems to shift. In those moments, when your human strength fails, when your intellect offers no comfort, and your strategy proves useless, something divine steps in. Strength that doesn't come from inside you, but from far beyond you, rises up and carries you. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or trumpet sounds. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply shows up quietly, powerfully, faithfully, and suddenly you realize, I should have broken by now, but I didn't. I should have given up, but I didn't. That's not willpower. That's not just resilience. That's God's hand holding you steady while everything around you trembles. We often expect divine help to look like a miracle that changes our circumstances. Sometimes divine help is the strength that changes us in the middle of our circumstances. It's the grace to endure the storm, not just escape it. It's the peace to sleep through the chaos, not the promise to avoid it. It's the joy that makes no sense, the endurance that can't be explained, and the will to keep walking even when the path isn't visible. You don't realize how powerful divine help is until you hit your lowest point. It's not in the mountaintop moments where faith proves itself strong. It's in the valleys, the shadows, the dry places, the silent nights. That's where help shows up. That's where heaven sends backup. Think about the times you felt too exhausted to keep going, yet you kept going. The moments when life felt heavier than your heart could carry, but somehow you found the strength to get out of bed. The seasons when the pain should have paralyzed you, but somehow you still progressed. That's not a coincidence. That's not chance. That's a divine signature. God's help is often invisible, but its impact is undeniable. You see it in the way you made it through what you thought would break you. You feel it in the calm that suddenly wraps around your anxious mind. You notice it in the clarity that comes after confusion. You recognize it in the quiet determination that keeps whispering, keep going when everything else is screaming, give up. You may not recognize it in real time, but look back. Look at what you've overcome. Look at how far you've come. You didn't survive because of luck. You didn't endure because you had the perfect plan. You endured because something divine kept showing up to give you just enough to take the next step. And that's what divine help does. It won't always remove the weight, but it will make sure the weight doesn't crush you. It won't always answer your questions. It will hold you steady while you wait. It won't always make life easier, but it will make you stronger. Sometimes God doesn't change the situation. He changes you within the situation. He deepens your roots in the storm. He strengthens your resolve in the fire. He silences your fears in the wilderness. And by the time you come out, you're not just surviving, you're transformed. That divine strength shows up in the hospital room, in the divorce court, at the gravesite, during unemployment, in silent battles and invisible grief. It shows up when nobody else knows you're breaking, when no one is clapping for you, when no one sees the tears behind your smile. It shows up not because you deserve it, not because you asked perfectly, but because you're loved that deeply. Sometimes help shows up as a still voice in your spirit that reminds you you're not alone. Other times it's an unexpected moment of clarity, or an encouraging word from someone who doesn't even know you're struggling, or an inner push to keep moving when your body wants to shut down. This divine help is not for the perfect. It's not for those who have it all together. It's for the broken, the tired, the doubting, the weary. It's for the ones who feel like they're hanging on by a thread. It's for the silent warriors, the unseen fighters, the quiet survivors. And it comes not because you've earned it, but because grace refuses to abandon you. This strength doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes it looks like tears falling while your feet still move. Sometimes it looks like praying with shaky faith. Sometimes it looks like showing up when everything in you wants to disappear. But every time you choose not to give up, not to walk away, not to collapse under the weight, that's evidence that divine help is at work. There's strength available to you that is not your own. It comes from the one who promised, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." So when you're weak, you're not losing, you're qualifying. That weakness is the place where divine strength shows up and proves its power. So the next time you're in your weakest moment, don't panic, don't despair, look again. That strength rising in your soul, that push to keep believing, that small voice saying, "I'm not finished yet," that's not you, that's God. Rejection hurts. There's no sugarcoating it. Whether it comes from people, opportunities, relationships, or dreams that seem within reach, being told no can feel like a blow to the soul. It can feel like failure. It can feel like you're not good enough, not wanted, not worthy. But let me shift your perspective today. What if rejection isn't the end of your story, but the beginning of your redirection? So many of us grieve over things that were never supposed to last. We fight to stay where God was trying to move us from. We hold on to plans we created in our mind instead of trusting the path God is unfolding. Here's the truth: God sees what you can't. He hears conversations you weren't invited to. He blocks access for your protection. We tend to view life through a very narrow lens. We see what's directly in front of us, but God sees the whole picture. When you get passed over for the job, when someone walks out of your life, when the deal falls through, when your idea gets dismissed, that sting of rejection may feel like loss in the moment. It's often God's way of saying, "Not here, not yet, not them." You see, we make plans according to what looks logical or feels good. God makes decisions based on what aligns with your purpose. You may have wanted that relationship because it filled a void, but God knew it would drain your future. You may have wanted that job because it paid more, but God knew it would steal your peace. You may have fought to stay in that place, but God knew it would kill your growth. Rejection teaches you things acceptance never will. It develops your resilience, it builds your discernment, it refines your desires, it purifies your motives. Most of all, deepens your dependence on God's direction rather than your own understanding. If everything had gone the way you wanted, you might still be stuck in places beneath your potential. You might have settled for what was familiar instead of what was fruitful. You might have lived small just to avoid the pain of being told no. But God didn't create you to live according to comfort. He created you for calling, and sometimes calling requires you to walk through disappointment to reach destiny. When God closes a door, He's not robbing you, He's rerouting you. He's guiding you through what feels like defeat into what actually is destiny. And often It's only in hindsight that we realize how necessary that redirection was. That no saved us. That silence protected us. That detour grew us. There's a bigger plan at work in your life than just your momentary emotions. God is orchestrating people, places, timing, development to bring you into alignment with the purpose He's written for your life. Think of it like this. A child may cry when their parent won't let them eat candy for dinner, but the parent sees what the child doesn't. Likewise, you may cry over that rejection, but God sees the consequences it would have brought. You may not understand it now, but later you'll say, I'm glad that didn't work out. I'm thankful I didn't get what I thought I wanted. And here's the beautiful thing about divine redirection. It always leads you somewhere better. Even if the road is longer or lonelier than you expected, you may walk through seasons where it feels like you're being delayed or overlooked. That's where trust is built. That's where identity is forged. That's where character is developed. Because before God brings you to a new level, He often strips away what can't go with you. So when rejection comes, don't internalize it. Don't let it define you. Don't let it make you bitter. Make you better. Let it purify your focus. Let it force you to dig deeper. Let it remind you that your worth is not tied to anyone's opinion or any opportunity. Your worth is established in the one who called you, chose you, is still writing your story. God is not withholding good from you. He's holding greater for you. But greater often requires pruning. It requires patience. It requires a willingness to surrender your plan for a better one. Yes, it hurts when people don't see your value, but your value doesn't decrease because someone else failed to recognize it. Their no doesn't override God's whys. Their rejection doesn't cancel your calling. Their absence doesn't remove your anointing. So keep your head up. Keep moving forward. Keep trusting. Every closed door is leading you closer to the right one. Every denial is making space for divine timing. Every season of being overlooked is setting you up to be positioned exactly where you belong. So the next time you're rejected, don't ask, what did I do wrong? Ask instead, where is God guiding me now? Because He is guiding. Even when it's quiet, even when it hurts, even when you don't understand. And when the right door opens, when the right people come, the right opportunity aligns, you'll realize that every rejection was worth it. It didn't delay your destiny, it preserved it. Now, we crave comfort, we seek stability, we pray for peace, predictability, and control. But here's a truth that challenges everything our flesh wants. Spiritual growth often begins where comfort ends. You don't grow in easy places, you grow in disruption. You grow in change. Care enough. And most often you grow when you're uncomfortable. It's the voice of heaven whispering, care enough. You've outgrown this space. It's a divine indicator that you're being stretched beyond what's familiar because you're being called to what's greater, what you once fit in. Emotionally, spiritually, even relationally, can begin to feel tight, frustrating, or empty. That's not failure. That's formation. Care enough. Change, especially the kind you didn't ask for, often introduces discomfort. And it's in those spaces when you're not sure what's happening, care enough, when your emotions are scattered, when the ground under your feet feels shaky, that God begins doing His deepest work. Why? Because it's in discomfort that dependence on Him becomes necessary, not optional. If everything stayed the same, if nothing ever shifted, care enough. You wouldn't need faith. You just rely on familiarity. But God is too invested in your purpose to let you settle in your comfort zone. Care enough. He loves you too much to let you stay in places that don't challenge your potential. And so He disrupts what is comfortable in order to develop what is eternal. Growth is rarely a peaceful process. It's often inconvenient, awkward, confusing, care enough, even painful, but it's not without purpose. When God is growing you spiritually, He begins to stir things in you that no longer align with who you used to be. Care enough, you lose the desire to participate in old conversations. You feel disconnected from people or places that once brought comfort. Care enough, you become restless in routines that once made you feel secure. All of this is part of divine development. Think about the process of transformation. A seed must break before it grows. A caterpillar must struggle before it flies. Muscles must tear to grow stronger. Care enough. The stretching doesn't feel good, but it leads to strength. And the same is true for your spirit. God never wastes discomfort. He uses it to confront your attachments. He uses it to shift your mindset. He uses it to expose the places where you've settled for less than what he's called you to. And when change comes, especially unexpectedly, it's not random. It's strategic. It's heaven realigning your story with divine timing. That job you lost, care enough. It grew your humility and birthed your resilience. That friendship that fell apart, it made room for deeper, healthier connections. And care enough, that move you didn't want to make, it pulled you into an environment where your gifts could finally develop. And let's be real, growth requires decisions. Care enough. Sometimes God sends discomfort because you've gotten too comfortable with dysfunction. You've normalized anxiety. You've made peace with pain. Care enough. You've lowered your expectations to avoid disappointment. And so he begins to stir you, shake you, and even strip things away. Not to break you, and care enough, but to build you. That discomfort isn't destruction. It's spiritual growth isn't about feeling good. It's about becoming holy. And care enough, it's about alignment with God's heart, not approval from people. And that kind of growth will often take you through lonely seasons, pruning processes, and moments of silence where it feels like God isn't even speaking. The discomfort isn't to discourage you. It's meant to deepen you. The change isn't meant to confuse you. It's meant to correct your course. That uncomfortable tug in your spirit, that unease in your environment, that sense that something's off, that's your key. God is moving you. Your outgrowing no longer fits your future. The moment you start praying for more, you have prepared for more peace. That might mean less access to toxic people. More purpose, care enough. That might mean walking away from what's familiar, more clarity. That might require solitude and discomfort. Growth always has a cost, but it also has a reward, because what's on the other side of your discomfort is your next dimension. What's on the other side of your change is greater capacity, deeper wisdom, and more authentic faith. What God is doing in you during these uncomfortable transitions is preparing you for influence, assignments, and impact that you could not have carried at your previous level. So stop resisting the discomfort. Stop resenting the change. Start asking, what is God to grow in me right now? Because the discomfort isn't permanent, but the growth is. Care enough, and the pain won't last, but the purpose it produces will. Spiritual growth doesn't always feel spiritual. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Care enough. Sometimes it feels like grief. Sometimes it feels like losing everything you thought you needed, only to discover that God was all you really required. But if you stay the course, if you remain faithful through the discomfort and obedient through the change, care enough, you will not recognize the version of yourself on the other side. You'll be strong, wiser, clearer, and more deeply rooted in who God created you to be. Because every stretching, every shaking, every moment of tension was pushing you into spiritual maturity. When you experience loss, care enough, it's natural to question every people leave your life, when opportunities disappear, when resources dry up, or when dreams unravel. The immediate feeling is often punishment. You wonder, what did I do wrong? Or, why is this happening to me? But what if loss is not the result of God being mad at you? What if it's part of his process of refining you? Care enough. You see, God doesn't waste pain, and he certainly doesn't waste loss. If he allows something to be removed from your life, and care enough, it's not to leave you empty, it's to make room for something greater. It's to strip away what can't carry the weight of your next level. Care enough. That's what pruning is in the natural world. A gardener does one tree because it's dying. A gardener prunes a tree because it's living, and because it has the potential to produce more fruit. But in order to do that, dead weight, overgrowth, and tangled branches must be removed. Enough. The pruning may look painful from the outside, but it's done out of care and foresight. The gardener sees not just what the plant is, but what it can become. Sometimes, in order to prepare us for what's ahead, God starts cutting things back. Relationships that once fit comfortably now feel misaligned. Opportunities that used to feel like open doors now shut without warning. Dreams that once burned brightly begin to fade. People you leaned on disappear without explanation. And in those moments, you may feel abandoned or forgotten. But you're not. There is a difference between punishment and pruning. Punishment is the consequence of rebellion. Pruning is the consequence of purpose. God prunes not to hurt you, but to heal you, not to shame you, but to shape you, not to reject you, but to ready you. You don't prune dead trees, you prune thriving ones. If you're being pruned, it means there's something alive in you that's worth cultivating, something that's growing, something that needs more space. And God, being the master gardener, knows exactly what needs to go in order to make that possible. Pruning doesn't feel good. Loss doesn't feel holy. It's easy to worship when everything is flourishing. It's easy to feel confident when life is adding to you. But what happens when life starts subtracting? What happens when things fall apart? What happens when you have to stand in the rubble of what you once called stability? It's in the cutting that your character is developed. It's in the silence that your trust is deepened. It's in the losing that your identity is clarified. Because what you lose in the pruning, you gain in focus, in depth, in purity. You learn what really matters. You learn who you really are. You learn how to stand, how to surrender, how to believe again. Not because everything is going your way, but because God is still with you, even when He's taking things away. Refinement is not glamorous. It's not flashy. It often happens in private. It's the process of being stripped down so that what remains is true, holy, strong. Fire is used to refine gold, not because the gold is worthless, but because it's valuable. And in that same way, your loss does not mean you are unloved. It means God sees your value. And He is committed to seeing your purpose fulfilled, even if it means taking you through seasons that are hard to understand. Think about the times in your life when you grew the most. Was it during comfort? Probably not. It was in the breaking, in the surrender, in the letting go. Those losses became holy ground. That pruning became the birthplace of power. That pain birthed clarity. That grief opened your heart to compassion. That wilderness taught you how to walk by faith, not sight. When God begins to prune, He is not focused on your feelings. He is focused on your fruit. He is making space for more purpose, more depth, more capacity. And He's not afraid to remove what you thought was essential in order to do it. There are seasons when God allows you to lose people you thought you couldn't live without, because He knows they were a crutch, not a covenant. There are seasons when He lets opportunities fall through, because He knows they would have pulled you away from your assignment. There are seasons when everything seems to be falling apart, because He's building something in you that couldn't be built any other way. You are being refined into someone who doesn't just talk about faith, but lives it. Someone who doesn't just quote truth, but carries it. Someone who doesn't just want blessings, but can handle them without being consumed by them. Refinement also teaches you to let go, to hold things with open hands, to stop clinging to people, titles, platforms, and temporary validation. It teaches you that who you are in God is enough, even when everything else is stripped away. What is He clearing away so you can finally bear the fruit you were created for? What is He cutting off that has been silently draining your energy, joy, peace? What is He shifting so you'll finally trust Him more deeply? Because God doesn't prune by accident. Every loss is strategic. Every cut is precise. Every removal has purpose. And if you stay faithful through the pruning, you'll step into a season where the fruit of that refinement will speak louder than your pain ever could. You'll realize it didn't break you. It built you. It didn't punish you. It purified you. It didn't end your story. It started a new chapter. So grieve what you must. Let the tears fall. Mourn what was. Then lift your head, square your shoulders, and walk forward with holy confidence. Because if God is pruning, it means there's more coming. And what's ahead will be worth everything you had to let go. In a world that thrives on visible results and tangible evidence, it's easy to believe that if you can't see it, it's not happening. If you don't have the answer in your hand, then maybe your prayers went unheard. If the door hasn't opened, maybe the opportunity doesn't exist. But divine guidance doesn't always move in ways you can see. In fact, powerful shifts often begin in the unseen. Just because you don't see God moving doesn't mean He's not working. Heaven is not limited by your timeline or your senses. Some of the greatest breakthroughs begin in silence. Some of the most transformational answers are hidden and waiting. Unseen movements are not delays. They are evidence that God is arranging things behind the scenes in ways your natural eyes can't detect. It's in the silence that your faith is strengthened. It's in the unseen that trust is developed. And it's in those quiet moments where nothing looks like it's changing that God does his most strategic work. Think about a seed in the ground. You can't see its roots taking hold. You can't watch it sprout minute by minute. But deep beneath the soil, process is unfolding. That seed is shifting, growing, expanding, and preparing to break through the surface. In the same way, when you're following God's guidance, you won't always see instant results. But that doesn't mean he's not building something beneath the surface of your life. Divine guidance doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with a calm assurance, a peace that surpasses understanding, an inner confidence that says, I don't know why, I know this is the right direction. That inner peace isn't just a feeling. It's a sign. It's God's quiet way of saying, you're exactly where I want you to be. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of God in the middle of the unknown. When you're walking in divine alignment, peace will go with you even when the path is unclear. People around you may question your choices. Logic may say it doesn't make sense, but when God is guiding, peace becomes your compass. It quiets the noise of fear. It stills the anxiety. It lets you rest when your surroundings say you should panic. So often we ignore peace because we're addicted to proof. We want confirmation and data, details, signs, and outcomes. But God gives confirmation in a different language: stillness, consistency, repetition. He doesn't always shout. Sometimes he whispers. If your spirit is quiet enough, you'll hear him say, you're on the right track. Ever notice how the same message keeps coming up in your life? You hear it in a sermon, then someone mentions it in a conversation. Then a book you randomly pick up echoes the same truth. That's not coincidence. That's not just your mind connecting dots. That's divine confirmation. God often speaks through patterns. He will echo his instruction, highlight his will, and repeat his voice in multiple places until your soul recognizes that this isn't random. This is revelation. You don't have to chase signs when you're in alignment with God. The signs will find you. Confirmation will track you down. Reassurance will interrupt your doubt. The same scripture will reappear. The same phrase will catch your attention. The same truth will circle back to you through unexpected people or circumstances. That's how God leads. Not always with clarity, but always with confirmation. He confirms his presence through peace that doesn't match your situation. He confirms his direction through doors that open effortlessly or shut decisively. He confirms his voice through repetition that pierces your soul. There's a danger in thinking that God is only with you when everything is visible and obvious. That mindset will make you panic in seasons of stillness. It will make you doubt when things aren't moving fast enough. But divine guidance is steady, not hurried. It's layered, not shallow. It's woven through your days like a gentle thread pulling you in the right direction without chaos or confusion. Yes, there may be tension. Yes, you may wrestle with uncertainty. But beneath the fear, there will be a river of peace that keeps flowing. That's your sign. That's your signal that God's hand is guiding you even when his voice feels distant. And here's the beauty of walking with him. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to understand every step. You just have to pay attention. Pay attention to the movement in your spirit. Pay attention to the discomfort that pushes you to grow. Pay attention to the things that no longer feel right and the new doors that begin to feel inviting. If it costs your peace, it may not be God. If it brings your spirit to stillness, don't rush past it. If it keeps coming back to you again and leaning into it, that's how divine guidance works. You don't need to have every answer, but you do need to stay sensitive to the voice behind the voice, the one that speaks through inner assurance, through repeated wisdom, and through doors that swing open in perfect timing. When you're led by God, you may feel uncertain, but you'll never be alone. His presence will walk with you, even if his plan remains hidden. His peace will rest on you, even when the pressure feels high. His voice will echo in your soul, Even if your mind is still catching up, unseen movements remind you that the roots are growing. Inner peace reminds you that you're safe in His will. Repeated confirmations remind you that He still speaks. So walk boldly even in the fog. Trust quietly even in the waiting. And listen closely even when nothing seems loud. Because divine guidance is not about seeing everything. It's about trusting the one who sees it all.